spooky. Feds them a move spooky. Me a drive in from Green Jail with a pound of the marijuana. Police pull me over, step to me car officer. Police wine say, what that me smell by you? What that green someday I no color do. You must go and jail boy, what you gonna do? Me light up me weed and say, squaddy me not stop on my ganja. So come put on the handcuff them.
You are tuned in to Frontline FM.
Gun you fi look for, no harass the Gaza. Me remember the first weed when me a bun when round me a 10. Me no feel light it again, I want it again. It's like a banana play a rhythm in my head. He make the place get dizzy and me eye red.
Morning people. I hope you're doing all good and well. Yeah, you're here with your host K-Ray on the one and only Frontline FM. Best live stream, digital radio, everything, man, all in one. You get me? I'm gonna be trying to stream every single day, and it's not just gonna be me. We had a whole catalogue of people that are meant to be streaming, but long story short, we're gonna have some new characters. So for me, it's just for this time being, it's just me. But in the very near future, there's gonna be more hosts, more different guests, and entertainment in general. So we're trying to do everything from culture. So what's going on in the culture, what's happening online, what's happening in the streets. We're going to be covering that, talking about that. Entertainment. So any creative idea we're going to try and make happen. We're not into no fuckery though. No fuckery. Real entertainment, you understand? And then so entertainment like comedy, sketches, all of that, you understand? But live, real life, IRL, in the presence, you understand? And news and music, you get what I'm saying? We're gonna have DJs on here, artists. I'll be doing sets myself as well. So yeah, there's a lot to expect from us. We're gonna be doing coverage of music news, what's happening in the culture, all of that. So please stay tuned in to Frontline FM.
You are tuned in to Frontline FM.
But without further ado, Without further ado, bear with me. Without further ado, we're gonna hop straight into the video. This video is about Vybz Kartel. So if you don't know, the world boss, a DJ Palmer, Vybz Kartel, one of the biggest dancehall artists coming out of Jamaica and one of the biggest in the world. He set the trend for the current sound of dancehall right now. So when you hear about chopper dancehall, when you hear about the current wave of dancehall, most of them guys from Popcorn to, I can name a whole list of people. You can see all these people, they got inspiration and they got influence from Vybz Kartel. And before him, you had previous generations like Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, and yeah, there's a big legacy acts. But right now, the legacy act that's defining the current sound from Skilly Bang, all these people take influence from him. So yeah, he was in prison for 13 years. He's out, did a big concert, Freedom Street concert, had a whole plethora of artists from Jamaica, the youngins, people he's works with. He's even brought out Shota Wale from Africa. So yeah, it was international for sure. So you had the whole of people coming from not even just Jamaicans, but West Indian people coming from Toronto and Canada in general, the UK over here, people going out, you get me? You have people from Africa going out there, you have people in the Caribbean, all over coming to this one venue. So yeah, man, with that being said, right before the concert, one of the biggest streamers, DJ Akademiks, he's one of the biggest streamers in hip-hop. But what you don't know about him, he's actually Jamaican. You don't know. So he's Jamaican, and I can't remember where he said he was from. I think Clarendon. I believe Clarendon. Me, myself, I'm part Jamaican. My grandma's Jamaican. Mum's half Jamaican, but I'm also half Nigerian as well. I also got Bayesian in me as well. So yeah, man. The culture. He DJ Akademiks, even though he's heavily invested into the hip hop culture, there's a side to him we don't get to see every single day, because obviously what the people want to hear is hip hop music. They want to hear people talk about hip hop music, but what you have to remember is his culture. He actually grew up in Clarendon. I believe he was born in Spanish Town, so he actually grew up there, and then he came over here, which is like a lot of people I know. So yeah, he's still tapped into that world. So he's said multiple times his favorite artist is Vybz Kartel. His favorite hip hop artist is Drake, but his favorite artist is Vybz Kartel. So that being said, I'm expecting to hear a lot of interesting things from this interview, because one thing about DJ Akademiks is that he does go in deep. Pause. he goes deep into the topic, whereas a lot of interviewers are very surface level, and he gets all the facts and information, and he says what's on his mind, which I respect. You know, whether right or wrong, he's, you know, most of the time I know that's genuinely how it feels, and that's genuinely what he thinks. He's not just capping or saying what he believes people want to hear. He says what he feels and what he thinks, based off the information he gathers. Whereas a lot of people, they might focus on surface level stuff, and so I think it'll be interesting, because he's coming from being one of the best streamers in hip hop, best digital journalist in hip hop, and seeing him bring that to now dancehall will be interesting, to one of the biggest dancehall artists. But yeah, let's not talk too much on it. Let's just hop into the video, and yeah, man, let's get to it, man. Ooh. Bear with me.
Chat on the boss, but long time for we pot on the clothes. We no mix and mingle. Remember we full of chips like Pringle. Run the matic one single.
Man, listen, man, it's your boy DJ Akademiks in the building. I feel like this is a life moment for me, man. Not even.
Don't bear with me. It's an hour and 40 minutes, so I need a drink. I'm not gonna be sitting here with a dry mouth for an hour and 40 minutes. So bear with me. Boom, let's hop straight into it, man. I should have left the music running or something. Next time, man, them. Let me know what tunes, if you got any requests. The next time I need to go set something, I'll just leave music running.
Even a career moment.
Alright, let's start this from the start. I'll make this screen bigger. do.
Man, listen, man, it's your boy DJ Akademiks in the building. I feel like this is a life moment for me, man. Not even a career moment, a life moment. Let me tell you this, man. You know, I feel like I've done my thing when it comes to being a personality and a media personality when it comes to music. But what a lot of people don't know, some do. Man, I was hailed right here on this rock called Jamaica, man. I was from born in Spanish Town Hospital. You know, I'm from Kilsyth, you know. That's Clarendon, if some of you guys don't know what it is.
Yes.
I'm from the country. I'm a country boy.
Yes.
You know, I made it all the way to the United States. And eventually, I began to have a whole impact on the hip-hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, I never forget my roots.
Yes.
When it comes to reggae, dancehall, when it comes to even soca.
Yes.
These are the things that gave me my musical start. Ever before I knew what was really hip-hop is in its pure form.
Sure.
When I went to America in 2001, I realized that Jay-Z and Nas were beefing, and I seen rap beef happen there, but long before that, I seen Bounty and Beanie get into it.
Yes.
I say all that to say, I'm here sitting with my favorite artist of all time. I don't care what genre. A lot of you guys might know this guy by many different names. Some might call him Adidja Palmer. Some might call him the dancehall hero. I personally call him the world boss. But if you're looking for him on Spotify, YouTube, on everything else, when he's running up the charts, you're probably gonna see him as Vybz Kartel. Vybz, I'm honored.
It's a pleasure.
I'm honored.
It's a pleasure.
I'm honored to be sitting with you, brother.
Yes, yes.
All right.
The feeling is mutual, man. You know, you respect big. Trust me.
Hey, let me tell you this, man. Again, you have to forgive me a little bit because it's still a little bit surreal sitting with you here.
Yeah, I understand.
One of the reasons it's surreal is because, man, about 13 years ago,
Yes.
the whole world told me it was over for you.
Yes.
You were my favorite artist then, my favorite artist now.
Yes.
But I seen you go through a lot of trials and tribulations. You got locked up.
Yes.
You spent 13 years in prison.
13 years, man. 12 years, 10 months. Days, man. 14 hours.
Listen, I would be here sitting with him for 5 hours if I got to do the backstory. So me do the backstory different times. We want to get up to the regular. For all my people, we got to get up to we got to bridge the story.
Yes.
His life is a whole 5-part movie.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. September 30th, 2011. You get arrested at a hotel.
Yes.
At the time, I believe they had said that they put let's say it was weed and some other stuff. I want to know your mindset then, because you were literally on top of the world.
Yes, I was.
What was your mindset even when that happened?
I mean, when I just got arrested, like you said, they arrested, they came into the room and they found some spliff. You know what I mean?
Did you have any, because, you know, even with some of the hip-hop cases, they'd be like, oh, this guy knew he was going to get locked up. Did you have any idea?
No, I didn't. But they always locked me up. So when they came into the room that day, it was like, oh, whatever. Searched the room, found weed, small amount of weed. It was already rolled.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh.
Done and dirty. So what you're saying? They had for what I know, they had evidence on him for a guy that I forgot my man's name. I think Lizard or something. And apparently a guy called Lizard was killed for losing weapons. This is what they're saying. But what they did is they started, the police went through the evidence basically and started messing with it, going through the messages that they collected that evidence. So yeah, even though he was incarcerated, technically the evidence they used to hold him in prison wasn't viable. So he took it to the pretty court because Jamaica is still within the Commonwealth of I don't know if it's realms or nations, yeah. But essentially, Jamaica, even though it is independent, it's not a republic. It's not completely sovereign and independent. To be fair, it's a lot of countries, even those that are quote unquote independent socioeconomically, are still tied to places like the UK and America. But yeah, Jamaica still technically has the Queen of Head of State and has an Attorney General. So with that being said, the highest court technically in Jamaica is actually in the UK, the Pretty Court. So he appealed for that, saying the courts in Jamaica are corrupt, and obviously just simply the simple precedence of laws is the same laws in the UK as Jamaica, innit? So when it, like in terms of what is built, in fact majority of the world, yeah, anywhere former British Empire or parliamentary system, a lot of the laws, quote unquote laws and structures come from the colonial thing, innit? Colonialism, Britain colonizing, and that's what they left behind. So yeah, serves Britain's interests as well. But if you also know how to play the system, which like Vybz Kartel did, he's like, okay, he knows there's a double standard. He knows these laws aren't going to be applied same way they applied in the UK and Jamaica, innit? So, because that's how the UK exploits places. You need that double standard law. You can't have that same law in a Nigerian, in all these places where they're getting resources from, or it's how the corruption work. But you know, I'm saying too much. Essentially, yeah. To use that to his advantage, he knows, okay, even if they don't take it serious here, they're gonna have to take it serious in the UK, which they did. So the precedents and the protocols weren't followed properly, so they have to throw out the evidence. It's inadmissible. So they have to release him, and the length this case has been going on, they basically have to throw this thing out. So yeah, man. That's what I know of what he got locked up for. But I think, listen, if he was out here, and because they believed he was a Don, he said he wasn't a Don, but they would have been trying to lock him up for anything. Anything. They would have been trying to set this guy up. So it was probably also, because he's saying, listen, a little spliff, man's rolling a spliff here. And don't get twisted, even though weed's legal in Jamaica and some other Caribbean countries now, it wasn't always legal. And you got to take into consideration that a lot of that culture of smoking cannabis comes from African and indigenous cultures, and even like the indentured servants they brought from India and these places after quote unquote slavery was abolished. You get what I'm saying? So that wasn't the British colonial culture and system didn't gel with that. You understand? So at that time, Rastas, Ganja, they cracked down on that very hard back in the day, but that's back in the day. So still, for them to be locking up for a split, do you understand? They're harassing my man. They're harassing him because they think he's a Don. He said he's not a Don, but you get what I'm saying? They're too eager. Eager beaver. For what? So you're harassing a man just because he has influence. That's really it. Niggas hating.
Oh, you're under arrest. I'm like, bro, whatever, man. So they brought me to the station. When they brought me to the station now, then the arresting officer comes back around after a few hours and says, yo, we're going to charge you for a murder. Huh? Yes. So initially, when the officer came into the room, he said to me, they're looking for shoes, which is like a nickname for guns. So they said they were looking for shoes, and I said,
so the officers used that word as a nickname too?
Yes, they used it.
Okay.
So I said the only shoes I have are those pair of Clarks, because I actually was in a pair of Clarks at the time.
Yeah. You had a big song called Clarks.
I had a big song called Clarks, and the officer was like, no, we're not looking for those shoes. Anyway, they didn't find any shoes, obviously. Then they found the weed, charged me, and a few hours later, while I'm at the station, they said they're going to charge me for murder.
There's an infamous video with, it looks like the media is filming you, but you're in cuffs like this. You had big, long dreads.
Yes.
And people, and I don't know if you noticed, did you feel like, well, this got to be more than just weed?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, like, because they were taking me to several houses that I owned or I used to live. So they brought me even to Portmore, where my mother used to live. They brought me to my mom's house. They brought me to two of my houses in Kingston. So I was like, nah, this can't be. This is bigger than it. And the media was literally driving behind us.
Right.
The whole way. That was crazy, though.
Were you nervous?
Never.
Really?
I can never be nervous, man. I don't know what that is.
You've been through the gamut. I remember before you got locked up. I remember when you go up on Cliff Hughes and you said, "Man, they're out to get me."
Yes.
You said they're out to get me, and I'm worried about my life, and I'm worried about my freedom.
Yes. That, funny enough, that was when I was being
harassed.
Yes, for want of a better word, I was being harassed, and allegedly because Movado and myself didn't do Sting. Remember?
Yeah,
and
I remember.
I kept my own party on the very same night.
That got shut down and raided.
That got shut down. It got raided, shut down. It was packed to capacity. You know what I mean? We even had to start charging like triple. Yeah, so it was crazy. And so ever since then, it's been a thing.
Wow.
I don't know.
You get locked up, they tell you, we're charging with murder.
Yes. But I still wasn't sweating it because I'm like, they lock me up all the time and say, oh, we're investigating this or investigating that.
They were calling you, you know, Americans might not understand this term, but I help them understand it. They were calling you a Don at one point. And I remember you doing several interviews and they said, well, Vybz Kartel is a Don. If you don't know what a Don is like someone who's like an area leader who...
Yeah, so exactly, he's explaining it. Especially a Don is, you have to understand in places like Jamaica, especially like Jamaica is a British colony, you understand, or former British colony. And these places were, how to say, they subsidized the British Empire. It was a plantation economy. Like 12.5 million slaves were taken from Africa and brought to the Americas. And most of those, only 3% went to North America. Most of them went to the Caribbean and Latin America. And a big portion of that being places like Jamaica and Haiti, because the slavery in particular there was so brutal. So Jamaica has a large, and also you had the indigenous population there before, which was wiped out by the Spanish mostly, and some of them went into the mountains, and the runaway slaves obviously mixed with them, making maroons. I'm related. I descend on my grandma's side partly from that, but that is how do I say? Majority of the population in Jamaica is a black population, right? Or Afro-Jamaican, or whatever you want to call it, yeah? But Jamaica being a British colonial project, like a lot of, like in America, and also places like we have to take into consideration, yeah? We talk about segregation and Jim Crow and all these things. They took inspiration. It was all based on the British Empire. So these things were first instituted in Jamaica and Barbados and these sort of places first. So the population that was meant to benefit from this colonial system, in summary and to speak in generalizations, was the descendants of the British ruling the island at the time. You understand? The majority of the population, which were descendants of slaves or indigenous people, Africans, it wasn't meant to serve their interests. And then obviously, after slavery is abolished, you have the apprenticeship scheme. So it's like part of essentially slavery 2.0. And you have the military industrial complex, and you have the prison industrial complex. Yeah, all these things contributing to slavery 2.0. And it's not just Jamaica, a bunch of other places, right? But what you also have is after that, obviously you have indentured servants brought in from India, right? And they would replace that place in the market. So post thing, that majority black population, along with the other demographics like Asians, but that made up majority of the working class. You understand, the middle class. And post World War, as the Cold War kicked off, Jamaica is one of those places that actually became, I'd say it's like a quiet proxy war that no one talks about, because you have the PNP and you have the JLP on one side, and basically the working class in Jamaica, for the most part, I can't remember, I think they were PNP, then you have JLP. I don't want to get too much into the politics. I could be getting stuff wrong, man. But yeah, and it just, long story short, the way the proxy war played out was through a gang war in Jamaica. So there was a lot of gang violence, but the gang violence was all politically related, if that makes sense, yeah? And the majority population, you have to take into consideration, you have one party which is backed by the CIA and backed by the interests of those that own the island, yeah? So you can say the sense of the British, but also those capital owners and those that own the island that have material interest and control over resources on the island, but also those that work underneath them. So those, regardless of class, they may be working whatever, black, but they get jobs from these people, you understand? On the other side, you have the masses people and the garrisons people, and a lot of them, they were in favor of more, and they were backed by, remember this is a proxy war, so and I hope I'm not mixing up the parties, but PNP, which was believed to be affiliated with the USSR and that ideology, but essentially they're pushing for more left-wing stuff that was meant to be in the interests of the majority of the island, which was working class, black. But yeah, so after that whole debacle, and Bob Marley famously got shot because of it, because he put himself in the middle of it, and he actually was able, through music, to bring a level of peace through not only just the gang leaders, but the actual political leaders behind the whole thing on stage together. But still, the gang violence till this day continues, right? So Jamaica, and I can compare it to like even Nigeria and other places, is a very unequal society. So with that being said, those that are meant to be looked after by the state, or these communities essentially independent, have to fend for themselves. So the people that fill that void, there isn't going to be another, what's called again, PMP, JLP war between, at least not to the point it was in the 70s, yeah? So now it's dons, you understand? And these dons, they could be moving whatever. Coke, yeah, the most famous is Christopher Duddis, yeah? Duddis Coke. I'm going to see if I can pull him up. But essentially, remember, like I said, there's a lot of inequality. So these guys filled that vacuum of essentially providing the community the resources it needs, you understand? So Christopher Coke. So Christopher Michael Coke, also known as Duddis, is a convicted Jamaican drug lord. So yeah, they would get in revenue via any means, often sending people to what's called again, places within the Jamaican hemisphere of influence. So you got to think about it this way: Britain is what colonized Jamaica, so there's a lot of Jamaicans in Britain. What's called again? Canada was a former British colony, so a lot of Jamaicans lived there as well. America is the main economic center of the Americas, and if you're talking about also monetarily wise, today they kind of are like the modern British Empire. So in terms of the money in Jamaica, a lot of that comes from America. If we're talking about that whole, like I said, gang war, big part of it is being fueled by the CIA and America. Do you understand? Because they wanted to maintain a certain system and a status quo that benefited them. So there's a lot of Jamaicans in America. Subsequently, it's a two-way street. You understand? Yeah, there's exploitation, there's neo-colonialism, but this is then the two-way streak is that okay? Less people want to exploit that. You understand? If we're being exploited, we want to exploit. So, yeah, man, he would send people to New York, to Toronto, London, and he had people moving, and that money essentially got reinvested back into the community. So even though he's in Jamaica, you understand, his community, he's running independent. That's why it's called a don, because the money isn't coming from the government. You understand? He's sourcing the means, the money, whatever way he needs, and he's providing the services that essentially the state will not provide for those communities because of the color of their skin and their class. And it's more so a colorism thing in Jamaica than what's called a racial thing, because there's that the slogan of Jamaica is out of many, one people, and a lot of places could learn from that. But that being said, because of like I said, classism and inequality, colorism plays into that as well. But for the most part, that is how dons come about. You understand? So dons essentially are that what's it called again? That vacuum of providing leadership, even if it's through gangsterism by any means necessary, to those communities that essentially are part of Jamaica, even if some of these communities culturally are actually some of the most prominent communities in Jamaica, but socioeconomically they're disenfranchised essentially, and the state, the government, the companies, because there's no profits there. These communities aren't within their interest, so those vacuums are filled with dons essentially. So essentially, they were accusing Vybz Kartel of being a don, which is why he was getting the treatment he was getting, even though he believes, as he says, is just an artist and that music is a form of expression. So he doesn't hold responsibility as an artist because anything he's doing is a form of expression of whether first-hand experiences that's how he's lived through or second-hand experiences. So yeah, that was his defense to that.
Has so much control, he would be essentially what the government would be for that area.
Yes.
So he would deliver crime, he would deliver law and order, which means punishments or whatever, but he would move and operate like he's above the law.
Yeah.
You vehemently said at that time.
Yeah.
And you probably have heard like there's similar things in other Caribbean countries, in Latin America, in Africa as well. Like I said, it's a combination of, I would say, neoliberalism. So neoliberalism is the idea of you had the Enlightenment, right? And off Enlightenment ideology, you had these individuals that wanted to create nations where all men are equal, and like this and that. In America, and abandon the feudal structure, separate church from state. But the reality of it is that it says all of this stuff about democracy and all of that, but money is king in neoliberalism. Capitalism is what drives all political system decisions within neoliberalism. So with that being said, there still is a similar feudal structure and the most obvious was that, after the American Revolution, you have, what's it called again? What's called the American Constitution, but the founders of America owned slaves. So they're saying they've shifted from this feudal society of serfs and but it's predicated on the exploitation of slaves and indigenous people through capitalism. So a lot of essentially a lot of the rights that neoliberalism afforded, you had to be a white property owning male. So the majority of those that did not fall within that category were savages. So essentially they're still living under the same colonial structure that these people said they were going to escape. And not only are they said they were going to escape, but they're essentially spreading it. You understand? They're spreading it to new nations as they wipe out what was there before to replace it with this identity based off what happened in they were living in Europe, right? To summarize and generalize and go through quick. And essentially, as America's expanded its influence, this ideology, neoliberalism, has expanded, but essentially, it's just neocolonialism. It says it's gone away from colonialism, but the same traits are still there, just under a new name and different guise. Yeah, for a few, they might maybe a few more afforded more rights if they fall within a certain category within the capitalist structure, right? If you don't fall within that, essentially it's the same. You're getting the same treatment as you were under colonialism. So I'll say it's neoliberalism, inequality, poverty as well, and neocolonialism that leads to the same. And also the Cold War. The Cold War is a big one as well. The Cold War. But that's why you see the same pattern in multiple different countries. You'll see in African countries, Latin American countries, and Caribbean countries. Because it's not. If you look at it just it's just Jamaica. The Jamaica's a bad. It's not just Jamaica. It's actually when there's a pattern within a system, then okay, this is something like a science experiment that's clearly meant to be produced in it. But like I said, if nothing's getting changed, it's usually because it's not within the interest of those that can change it. So often the case is that there's never going to be radical change from top down, because those at the top are benefiting from the way the situation is. In fact, they're usually profiting off it. Often the real tension comes, like in the 70s, from when those from the I don't even want to say what's pause, but those from, you understand, what society would consider at the bottom of society, start to try to shift things, and they succeed. But yeah, essentially, that is how Dons come about, I believe. And I don't think it's something specific to Jamaica. I believe, you know, it's produced by a certain system and a certain socio-economic conditions, you understand, that create a power vacuum, essentially. And that's why you have cartel bosses, that's why you have Dons, that's why you have Zamas, that's why you understand. But hey, that's just my political theory. Let's just get back into it.
That's not true. And I also said, because you said something that was so profound. He said, how could I be that and I'm making, and I have time to make music, do concerts?
Exactly.
Didn't make sense to me.
Didn't make sense. But it's just the influence.
Okay.
That was the problem, the influence that Vybz Kartel has. You know what I mean? So that's why they try to label me as that, but I'm not. I'm just an influential person. So if I go into the community, everyone is gonna come. The good, the bad, you understand, the indifferent. So that's it. And everyone loves me in my community, so.
You know, and I'll try to watch everything you're on, because I think you're a very, I think you're a genius. And I use that word and that phrase lightly. I'll use it lightly, I mean, because I really believe that. I was watching you on the Fix interview.
Oh,
yeah, man, you really put up on him, not like.
Yeah, man, Fix was crazy.
What you said is that you you solemnly believe that the reason you got incarcerated was because of the influence.
Of course.
Now, I personally believe, you know, I see a lot of people, like when people talk about Putin, when they're talking about King Jong-un, they talk about even when they talk about Donald Trump.
Yes.
When people always talk about people having power and power over people.
Yes.
And I always say the strongest version of power is...
I'm going to say something controversial, yeah? So I'm about to agree with Vybz Kartel, and the same thing he said in the past, is that I do believe that, genuinely speaking, yeah, is that putting responsibility on artists, entertainers, the whole purpose of art is a reflection of life. However, there is a saying, yeah, art imitates life, but life imitates art. That is true as well. I'll get to that later, yeah? So the role of an artist is to express himself. He's essentially holding a mirror up to his own life, and in doing so, he's holding a mirror up to society, because he's part of society. So they're supposed to just express themselves, and that's how you make art, isn't it? You can be calculated with art for X, Y, Z, but just at its most basic level, it's a form of expression, especially for those that struggle to communicate, and especially for those that are being through a lot. It's a form of expression. So that's why I do agree, is that the responsibility of the influence of the artist isn't on the artist, if that makes sense. It's on the society. If people are afraid of their kids being influenced, if they're being afraid, That being said, though, I do believe that media does have influence. There is a such thing as propaganda. You can... The Rwanda, if you just look up the Rwandan genocide, if you want to look at the role media has, the Rwandan genocide, media plays one of the biggest roles. However, the media in a vacuum does not. All of this is usually socio-economic factors that underpin in, and a lot of the habits and behaviors that people are upset with society, that they blame on music, that they blame on this and that. Music is the catalyst. I'm not going to pretend that if I don't play an angry tune, I won't feel angry. I'm not going to pretend if I don't play a love dubby tune, I won't feel in the mood to link a girl. I'm not going to pretend, you know, if I play a happy tune, I'm not going to be in a good mood. It does have an effect, you understand? And if someone's drunk and this and that, then yeah, it can shift. But this is why I say it's a catalyst, because often that person's feelings and what they're going to do, especially if it's violence, is actually often predicated already on what they were going to do. And that's more so determined by your environment, your socio-economic conditions that you're growing up in, that determine those decisions. The music is just a catalyst. The media is just a catalyst, you understand? So it's a two-way street. That's why I say art imitates life as well. Because you can influence human behavior through media. Simple as music is a part of media. Film is a part of media, you understand? The whole media and entertainment industry has influence over people. That's why you can sell products and advertisement. If not, you understand it. And it's all about emotion, and emotions are a very powerful thing. Words are very powerful. So I will say that you can't put it on the artist. If people are upset about certain things influencing them, it's down to you as an individual to control your environment and what you let in and what you let out, yeah? As a parent, whatever. But also, is that the conditions that create artists like that, because remember, artists are just expressing themselves. So even if they don't express themselves, most likely all these experiences, they've either been through it or they're going to go through it. You understand? So and often when artists express themselves, you have a trend that starts a culture because multiple people are going through the same thing. You get me? The same thing. And people can relate. So they want to, get me? Express the same thing in their perspective, in their own way. So with that being said, the conditions that are creating these people to say these things, you understand? Because all they're doing is just talking about what's happened. So essentially, the conditions that's creating these things to happen, people have to shift it. You understand? You can't put it on the artist because the artist is a scapegoat. You have to, whatever your political ideology, because people have different belief systems, whether it's okay, you want to do it grassroots through the community or you want to hold governmental officials accountable, but that's really where it starts and people are upset about these things. The artist is a scapegoat, but you know what's going to happen again. You know someone else is going to come and sing the same thing because, all right, boom. Put it this way, yeah? If we're all in poverty, and you know the only thing people can do to get out of poverty is sell a liquor draw, you understand? Or sell some alcohol, whatever. But that state says there's no alcohol, nothing you can sell here, you understand? Only water, nothing that, you understand, makes people intoxicated, yeah? Boom. But if you guys don't do this, there is no other opportunity. Because where you guys live, there's no economic opportunities. So you know, it's okay at this point, it's I do this or I die. And the people that don't live in this community know that as well. But they just don't want to face it. So then when people start making music, what are they going to start singing about? Selling things that intoxicate people, right? So you can look up that artist that's singing about that. But best believe, there's going to be another artist from that same community singing about the same thing. Until those people are provided opportunities, that's an alternative. And yeah, the music will still probably keep on going, but the reality won't hold the same significance. That's my main point. So, yeah, I know Akademiks is going with this. I know I expect Vybz Kartel to say what he said in the past, that, listen, you can't put the responsibility to us, which I do agree with. But I'm not going to pretend like music doesn't have power and influence. But the things people are upset about, they don't realize it's not down to the artist or to the music. It's down to the reality these artists are growing up in, living in. What are we as a society? When the mirror's held up to us, what are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna shoot the messenger, or are we gonna do something about it?
Influence.
True that.
So when I heard you say it's because the influence, I said, okay.
Of course.
How do you think that manifests? Because let me tell you this, Milan Amobi, and I'm talking to a few people. Some still don't agree all the way with you. Yes. You know what they said?
Yes.
They say Kartel have everybody bleach out, tattoo, and that's they're talking about your influence.
Yes.
Was there ever?
Yes, of course. Because I've never not been influential in my community or in the industry. You know what I mean? Even when I just came out, you know what I mean? Everyone that came after me, they copied my style, my dressing, the jerseys, then the Clarks, then you know what I mean? Anything. If I say we're gonna wear this, remember I came out with an orange bandana.
Yeah.
And everyone started wearing orange bandanas. So yes, I understand my influence, and I also understand that it's dangerous. Of course. Of course I understood it, and I capitalized on it because remember I've been doing the merch, I've been running the club, I've been forming the record company, signing artists, selling condoms, selling alcohol. You know what I mean? Sold clothes, I sold shoes, I sold almost everything.
But it's bigger than that. You know, I was
except
having
my soul.
It's bigger than that. I was having a conversation with a young man over his birthday.
Yeah.
And I've said this many times on the stream. And you know, I'm not even trying to flatter you, but this is for me the reality.
Yeah.
I said, you know why Vybz Kartel is, to me, not only my favorite artist, but I think he's one of the greatest artists, no matter what genre.
Yes.
I said, let's bring it to hip hop.
Yes.
I said, if we was to bring Vybz Kartel to hip hop and sum it up,
Yes.
we would have to say we have an artist that has the lyrical ability of an Eminem,
Yes.
who has the swag of a Jay-Z,
Yes.
who the girls gonna love,
Yes.
and could still be cool enough with the raps, like a Drake,
Yes.
like a Future.
True.
And also, we gotta bring back people who even dead.
Yes.
All respect to the great late Tupac Shakur,
Yes,
but
yes.
somebody who his music don't only move the club,
Yes.
his music move the people.
Big difference. Good. I like that.
And I summed it up and I said, if you ever wonder why I like this artist, I respect him so much, there's so much different facets to it.
Yeah, true that.
Did you ever, you know, while it was happening, because there was a point they were even trying to say, when you said Gaza, it was a cult.
Yes, true that.
Did you ever realize that you were hitting so many bases with what you were doing?
Yes, because I planned it. Like I said, you know, I like to plan what I do, you know what I mean, and orchestrate it and execute it in a specific way for a desired result. So yes, I definitely knew what I was doing. I did it on purpose, and it worked. And it was also the reason why I did 13 years in prison and still never lost my influence, still never lost that pulling power. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was that. I always knew that and recognized it.
Did you ever maybe like that reasoning with yourself to say, when you have that power, because I felt that if there was any time, and we've seen this in hip hop, you know, shout out to my, you know, late great that was in hip hop, XXXTentacion.
Yeah.
He told the people, he said, all y'all come to the court and whatever, and his fans reacted, you know, and the court didn't like it.
Yes.
If you had said, hey, listen, if they find me guilty,
Yes.
I want you guys to start hell.
Yes.
They would have.
Yeah,
But
true.
you never really did that. You
No.
you never went over that line. When you have all that power, how do you figure out how to deal with it?
I mean, it's like the saying that they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So you have to be careful, remember, because even though I'm very influential, I'm still not the government. They have the ultimate power. So we still have to be careful and navigate in a specific way, in a certain way. So, but I would never really tell people to do anything like that, though. You know what I mean? That's not me.
That's what they say Trump did. They said Trump said, if I don't win, go out of Capitol. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But people do a lot of things in my name, but that doesn't mean they did it with my permission.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, I remember way back they used to be like, well, this artist got buckled. That's because you're influenced. Like
Exactly.
you're radicalizing people.
Yes, but I'm not telling anyone like go throw bottles. No, I would never do that. But people are gonna like, my fans love me so much because remember, Gaza Nation. I don't even call them fans. I call them Gaza citizens. So we're like a nation by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Gaza Nation is that powerful entity that Vybz Kartel created. It's like you said, a cult-like following. You know what I mean?
How do you create that? So in hip hop, there's so many people they thirst for that.
Yes.
Because music these days is fly by night.
True.
Where like you're hot for 2 years, maybe 3, and then you cool off.
Yes.
People want their fans, or maybe you don't call them fans, whoever who is listening to you, to have this undying loyalty to you.
Yes.
And we don't see that nowadays. So how did you create it? And is it possible for people to draw to an artist now like that?
I mean, well, to answer the last question first, I mean, what men have done, man can do. So you never know. Maybe in the future there will be that person. You know what I mean? Because I guess maybe every generation has their kind of legendary figure in entertainment, in sports. Sometimes it might skip a generation. Because trust me, I don't think we're going to get back a Usain Bolt anytime soon.
True.
You know what I mean? So
you're right.
That's gonna skip several generations. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, Usain Bolt, remember, we have a race.
What type of race? Foot race?
What you mean?
You're not a race.
Never run left him.
Come on.
Trust me. I told him at the stadium.
Are you drop the song name winning? Come on.
Yes. I told him I'm going to break his record. I'm going to run 9.57.
Not in the 30 meter.
Meet Sky and Nala are lively Labradors. Whether it's providing energy or supporting joint health, at tails.com, dog...
No, in the 100 meters, I'm telling you. Watch, I can do it.
Hey, that was a little bit of even that though, right? You get incarcerated. The government is making it like when we in foreign and we all watch it, right?
Yeah.
The press, Jamaica Observer, everybody, they're saying this guy is a guy who's been one of the biggest proprietors of crime.
Yes.
He's one of the biggest, he's like a mob boss. He's like a don.
Yes.
But we've seen a lot of people, even Usain Bolt, who on the biggest stage, shows you a lot of love.
Yes, he does.
How do you even even deal with that? Because, or how do you even view that? Because you know how they were painting you out to be.
I know, but like I said, and I understand why that image got publicized, because I even have a song where I say it. I'm saying, they say I am a Don. Don't call me that. I only help get to youths. You understand?
Yeah.
So because.
What happened to my sound, man? Bear me, Vanden, bear with me. My sound just acting up a little.
Days before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Bear with me, people. There's a little hiccup.
so again, did you regret that? And then now, do you say?
Life, who knows what would have happened? And I've not been incarcerated, like you said. You know what I mean? Under the ground. But I'm still here and I give thanks to life. I have no regrets. But
sorry about that, people. Yeah, my audio was just acting up a little. I think that should be resolved.
I call them fans. I call them Gaza citizens. So,
Did you ever?
Yeah, so
There's so much different facets.
he was talking about being a don, how people accused him of being a don. Academics posting that question, and Vybz Kartel essentially.
When I said,
set the record straight.
okay,
of course.
how do you think that manifests? Because let me tell you this, Milan Amobi, and music,
Yes,
do concerts.
Exactly.
I remember when you go up on Cliff Hughes and you said, man, they're out to get me.
Yes.
You said they're out to get me, and I'm worried about my life, and I'm
Yes.
worried about my freedom.
Yes. That, funny enough, that was when I was being
Harassed.
Yes, for want of a better word, I was being harassed, and allegedly because Movado and myself didn't do Sting. Remember?
Yeah, I
and
remember.
I kept my own party on the very same night.
That got shut down and raided.
That got shut down. It got raided, shut down. It was packed to capacity. You know what I mean? We even had to start charging like triple. Yeah, so it was crazy. And so ever since then, it's been a thing.
Wow.
I don't know.
You get locked up, they tell you, we're charging with murder.
Yes. But I still wasn't sweating it because I'm like, they lock me up all the time and say, oh, we're investigating this or investigating that.
They were calling you, you know, Americans might not understand this term, but I help them understand it. They were calling you a don at one point. And I remember you doing several interviews and they said, well, Vybz Kartel is a don. If you don't know what a don is like someone who's like an area leader who has so much control, he would be essentially what the government would be for that area.
Yes.
So he would deliver crime, he would deliver law and order, which means punishments or whatever, but he would move and operate like he's above the law.
Yeah.
You vehemently said at that time, that's not true. And I also said, because you said something that was so profound. He said, how could I be that and I'm making, and I have time to make music, do concerts?
Exactly.
Didn't make sense to me.
Didn't make sense. But it's just the influence.
Okay.
That was the problem, the influence that Vybz Kartel has. You know what I mean? So that's why they try to label me as that. But I'm not. I'm just an influence.
How old is the girl?
If you're sharing a hotel room with friends, you're also sharing a bathroom and a mirror and a tiny hairdryer. Get an Airbnb and get more space.
Is that my bestie in a taxi?
Not nice. The boy run like a wounded dog. Broke you see and record. Don't run. Baba boy, don't run. The boy dress up like police and I run like thief. Don't run. Baba boy, don't run. Big yard, we are the last man standing. Rifle shot, move the goalie banking. One of your barber shop and trim. Next year, no do no more damn sting. We are the last man standing. I'll be a big matic cause a man bring. Me no coward like Bunty or him. Log on pan YouTube, watch the damn flame. It's a hype, Baba boy embarrassing fans. Me can't believe him run with him bands. Him sing one tune 2 times. When teacher run out with 1,000,000 songs. Gaza shoot out the casket. So 2009 no make no more plans. Shoot him in front of Adams. Shot by him like Madden. When you just up in a police suit far. Me never seen a policeman go war. Me run out in a full camouflage knapsack full of clip 2 blood clot SLR. You bring 2,000 man go sting, and I just shorty me bring. But when you see a peer things, you run like you see an a paging. That mean we are the last man standing. Rifle shot move the goalie banking. Run on your barber shop and trim. Next year, no do no more damn sting. We are the last man standing.
Hey, so go your barber shop and trim. Hey, if you don't know where some of this footage is from, there's a legendary war.
Yo, yo! When
Legendary.
they're ready, some boy think them can't fuck, yo. Yo, 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 yo. Tap it. Sing. What them for me a day, what them fear of the sun. Bumbuckler. Yo! Stars never play. Friendship me no buy. Pussy violate, we make them don't be back. Yo! When we send out them bumbuckler, send them. We don't have no time to be out that way. Man! You know what I'm saying, no? Right goes the ball. Right goes the ball. We do not send them out. Send them out. Some boy are talking about buckler and Gaza. I don't know them dead. Gossip. Your mama think you're coming home, but you're not. That was them. Them love to chat. When the bleacher boy then, let me come like a joke thing. Rascal. Them a walk out in a soldier suit. I'm farmer thing him a deal with. Send them out there now.
Some boy find out them a barber, John Rostal. When them a joy, them must see blood clot food. Hey John, what's it on them? Kill them all and done.
They're not feeling look. I am man of the say. You're born in farmer. Now boy, yo, turn up my mic. Turn up my ball buckler, man. Yo, turn up this. Yo, turn up this one.
And shut up,
Yo.
Give me a mix. Hey, no one I don't tell you all of them dead. Man, I do rifle.
Yo.
I'm murder. Some boy out here.
God. What this crazy left boy? His was not like. Yo, and I'm going to leave. Step got me going to give one beer. Never know.
Hey, Jaguar, let's chat him a chat. This, you want to get hungry. So me kill them and you like hungry. I like that fuck up them and junkie. So we go to see in the country.
Bunton have nothing to do with this. I'm here, I war, pussy. Bunton have nothing to do with this. I want the blood clot there. What the fuck they are, Caesar? From a chase like your Batista. Sneeze out your face like my Caesar. Yo, pussy, read them up. Don't stop that buckler. Don't stop it. Hey. If you say nah. No. Yeah, I'm farmer. Bumbo will better mind all.
Look. I know me not when you say a blood clot. I know me not. See me support ya. See put gunshot in another dark boat ya. See me support ya. I want the blood at the bottom.
Stick. What on there? When the step out now, soldier. What on? Him step out like soldier. Surrender. You are pussy like way on the Brenda. Got it? So you're so pussy like a Adiza.
Look. Everyone's why look. Me step out like soldier. And Mr. Palmer. Him step out like feds. I informer. I gunshot in your head from the corner. Gunshot right at your face on the corner.
Yeah, Yeah, man, wicked beef. Why don't you call it a beef, a clash, man? Wicked clash for the culture. But yeah, man, I'm gonna wrap it up there. So that was Vybz Kartel and DJ Akademiks interview. The world boss himself, one of the biggest acts, clearing his name out of prison, 13 years. He's more mature now. Put on one of the biggest concerts in the culture today, Freedom Street. And man, just clearing his name. Everyone wants to know what happened, where he's been, why he was in prison, and all the accusations. There's two sides to the story, so everyone wants to hear what he had to say, his response. So yeah, man, I'm gonna watch the rest of the interview soon. Right now, I kind of got to get to some other business. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. And yeah, this has been Frontline Media.